All white people benefit from racism with white privilege. If you are not actually dismantling racism, if you are not going to pull people up from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, then you are participating and benefiting from racism.
Surprise, surprise! The left is extremely angry at white people. This time it's not anyone that was alive. After we've taken down the Confederate monuments, people want to blow up Mount Rushmore because there are 2 slaveholders present on there. And of course, the typical narrative, it was on indigenous land stolen from those highly advanced natives that were just having a great time here smoking pot before the white man spread their smallpox on blankets. We're going to be talking a lot about the rise of anti-white bias and racism in this country. But I always want to remind you guys, please, if you love this show, continue to support it by going to blazetv.com/slightly-offensive using my code Elijah to get all the video content here. Plus, in the near future, bonus content. And this show releases a couple hours earlier. But if you do not want to go and get a subscription, also check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And it helps me out a lot. So even if you don't listen on audio, just subscribe in the links below and we'll get into that. So as I mentioned, the world has gone absolutely mad against not only white people that are living, but our damn stone monuments, because nothing says I defeated slavery like blowing up some rocks. Not much different, of course, than what the Native Americans were probably up to before the settlers arrived. Let's look at what CNN is saying right now. I want to expose CNN a little bit and show you really how the narrative has switched to finding any way to create a racist or white people bad narrative. Listen to how the CNN correspondent describes Trump's speech at a national monument, and then we're going to just completely destroy her narrative with her own network's quote.
Kicking off the Independence Day weekend, President Trump will be at Mount Rushmore, where he'll be standing in front of a monument of 2 slave owners and on land wrestled away from Native Americans, told that be focusing on the effort to, quote, tear down our country's history.
Yeah. Okay. So CNN, instead of just saying, by the way, that Trump, the president of the United States, is speaking in front of Mount Rushmore, a national monument, they make it about racism and white people that owned slaves. Of course, our favorite narrative as well, that all this land belonged to indigenous people and we somehow stole it, which is stolen is a weird way to spell conquered. But I'm not here to say anything. But the narrative has changed. Everything is absolutely racist. And in fact, what's really sad about all this is that just a little while ago, just 4 years ago, the narrative was not as strong. And we're going to find this out from this video from Bernie Sanders just a little while ago. It seemed that CNN and everybody loved Mount Rushmore. Check this out.
This is our country at its very best. What an incredible achievement.
Visiting Mount Rushmore today, Bernie Sanders taking in the majesty of the moment, this monument to 4 great American presidents.
Just the accomplishment and the beauty here. It really does make one very proud to be an American.
Sanders has his own mountain to climb.
Yeah, so you guys, it looks like if a Democrat likes Mount Rushmore, it used to be a monument to 4 great presidents of the United States. But now, because all of you damn white people won't just kill yourselves, we're stuck with not only your physical selves, but your statues and your sculptures. Everyone has gone off the rockers claiming that, Trump is at this white supremacy rally, which is a greater narrative that we're going to break down in this entire episode about this increasing bias that says that all white people are evil. The systems we've created are so damaging that apparently that's why every single country in the world has copied all of our institutions of education, of government, and our economy. We're so damn evil that it's like what our countries and Western civilization invented works for everybody else. But I'm not going to really get into that. I will say here, though, I do want to say this. People said that this is a really white gathering, and I wanted to prove them wrong that Trump's gathering wasn't right. But let's have a little humor here. This is pretty this is pretty white. I mean, this is what's going on here today. Check this out.
Come on
All right, before I get a DMCA takedown, I gotta stop that. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a pretty white event, but this is going to be a more serious topic. But as always, guys, I just really want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor for this show. If you guys are drinking coffee, but you're not drinking Black Rifle coffee, you are making a huge mistake, because Black Rifle coffee is not only the best cup of coffee, I love it, especially because they make their coffee rounds, which go into my Keurig. They have the canned coffee, which I really love. I've been noticing it around at stores. It's gaining popularity, but the company also is a veteran-owned and veteran-operated business, and they love America. They love freedom of speech. They support this show. They support you guys. And so go to blackriflecoffee.com/offensive and check out how you can get 20% off plus free shipping. But I want to let you know and leave you with this. Please check out this Coffee Club. It's the best way to get everything shipped to your door every month without having to reorder. And you don't have to go into pesky stores with your stupid mandatory masks. So go to blackriflecoffee.com/offensive to get 20% off your first order and free shipping. So let's jump right into this. We're going to jump into to talking a little bit about why there's a rise in anti-white racism. So what I mean by that is, you know that we are not fighting racism as a culture simply because we do not care about eliminating prejudice and bias in the hearts of everybody. You know, we could live in a society, I understand, that is made up of many different colors and cultures in some degree. I don't think it really works that well. I mean, I'm not the one who's saying it. I mean, it's the black communities that are constantly talking about how black and white people just don't really get along. And those aren't my words. Take that from Black Lives Matter. But what you see in our society is a constant scolding of the white majority that they are intrinsically and inherently prejudiced towards anyone who isn't white, which quite frankly isn't true. But it's purposeful, because the people who talk about racism don't want to root it out in themselves. It's a sort of a victim blaming mentality. And you see that by the propaganda by people in this video, which we're going to debunk. This video comes from attention.com. And let me just get to it real fast. Let's start by watching this, and I can point out to you a little bit about how this rise in anti-white racism works by how they describe racism by just talking complete shit on a fat white woman.
I don't see color is one of the most dangerous things you can say. 70% of—
Okay, let's stop that. So there's this narrative, right? That people who say, I don't see color, is one of the most dangerous things you can say. Not like I'm going to cut off your head, I'm going to murder your family, maybe I'm going to nuke your country. Up there with blowing up North Korea is also, I don't see color. And they're going to tell us exactly why.
People say they don't see race, and that being colorblind actually makes society better. After all, we live in a post-racial America where it's all rainbows and butterflies, and racial preference and prejudice don't exist, right? No. The reality is we do experience the world differently based on the color of our skin.
And just because you don't claim to see race doesn't mean racism is suddenly going to disappear.
This isn't a game of peekaboo. By ignoring race, you're both dismissing racial issues in America and trivializing this nation's history of using race as a means to leverage power.
Okay, first of all, why don't you just shut up? But also, number two, this is the narrative. When someone says, I don't see color, there's always this scolding to white people, by the way. This video is not, you're going to find out, it's not about ending racism. It's about scolding this fat white woman who, by the way, is an actress. The only problem she has currently is possibly an early death due to diabetes. Other than that, I don't think she's really a problematic individual, but they always say that, you know, when you say you don't see color, you're saying I don't see race. No, we know races exist. There's a cultural understanding. There's a big difference between races. And in fact, that's why they always say white people are racist. It's people of color, as they say, that are the ultimate perpetrators of constantly mentioning that the races are very different. You don't hear a lot of white people pointing that out, by the way. It's like this Hispanic girl, this Asian girl that are demonizing us. And watch how weird this gets. It just gets so weird. And this is, by the way, this is so many views. That's what's even scarier.
Something my character Davia from our show, Good Trouble, learns the hard way.
I'm sorry, but I don't know how to teach kids who don't want to be taught.
You mean black kids?
No, in my classroom, I don't see color. I'm colorblind.
Yeah, well, that's your problem.
It is a problem, but it's also a privilege.
Okay, what teacher is like, yeah, I don't know how to teach black kids? Like, when does it ever happen in a modern school where teachers like, I don't know how to teach you? What you're going to find out, by the way, is that her entire class is black. So this is probably an inner city white teacher who's going out of her way, just teaching in a neighborhood, but from a government program. I know I was a part of one called Teach for America, where they basically ship higher educated individuals who can't find a job and they put them in inner cities to help because they can't have enough qualified people from the city to actually teach in the schools who actually want to be there. So this woman's there, and now she told a black kid, I don't know how to teach black children, which I'm going to put 500 on. That never happens in real life.
White privilege, to be exact. It's pretty simple. White people benefit from advantages in society just because they are white.
You're not racist just because you're white.
Okay, and this is where they always say, white people benefit from systems in society because they are white. And then they don't mention the systems. You ever notice that one? They always go, there's so much police brutality. Black people are killed every day by police unarmed. When? Tell me. Well, it happens. Black people are unfairly treated. Where? And then they go, well, white people benefit. How? And they really have a hard time coming up with specific scenarios. And they're not going to do it in this video. They're going to continue to make warrantless claims, by the way. This is actually true. Listen to this.
However, the option to be colorblind is in and of itself a privilege.
We live in a society where race impacts everything.
Job opportunities, how much money you make, and even how you feel when you go into stores.
And we see this play out all the time. Everywhere, especially in the justice system.
Men of color receive prison sentences that are almost 20% longer for committing the same crimes as white men.
If race doesn't matter, why are Black and Latinx drivers twice as likely to be searched than white drivers when pulled over?
Not acknowledging that because you're colorblind, like Davia, really is the ultimate flex of white privilege.
Talking about race can definitely be uncomfortable, but isn't comfort a small price to pay?
See, this is the problem with recruiting white college grads to teach at diverse urban schools. Y'all can't relate to your students.
So now you want to educate me.
Why you gotta get defensive?
Because you're attacking me when I am just honestly trying to understand.
Davia's putting her desire to feel comfortable before the need to have a real, honest conversation.
Not racist, okay? I'm a good person and I have feelings too.
These conversations can be rough. Like Davia, people in this situation might feel defensive, guilty, and confused.
Yeah, in a situation like Davia, when you tell a white person that in your heart you have hatred and you uphold systems that put people in a lower position and you unjustly accuse them of crimes against humanity, they might defend themselves. It's like, yeah, I might defend myself when you make baseless claims from an education system that doesn't make sense. And we're going to get into a little more of the semantics on this, but I had to start out with this video because it's just so retarded. It really is. And why did they choose an Asian lesbian? Why is there always the lesbian chick? Really, truly, anybody who wears a large checkered shirt like that without layering their hair probably likes women. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just pointing it out.
All at once.
But instead of making it about you and how you feel, try to put that aside and listen to people of color.
I know it was pretty dumb of me to teach you a dance about Black oppression.
I thought it was funny.
I didn't. It was awkward. And I hear that. But I want to do better. And I want you all to feel like you can call me out.
For real?
Absolutely.
We all seek.
What teacher teaches their kids about Black impressions and then lectures the class on, I want you guys all to call me out in the future? That's not how education works. And quite frankly, if you're a teacher and you need your students to call you out, you probably are in the wrong career. But of course, it's only white people, this woman who's in this inner city or wherever she's at, that needs to be lectured about how she can be more accommodating to people of color. Which also brings me to my theory. People of color do not exist. And this is Elijah's critical race theory number 1. Speaking of Mount Rushmore and indigenous people, welcome to my class. Number 1, you hear the phrase Native Americans, which includes people who are native to the continent of America. If you were born in this continent, you are a Native American. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. I hope you can get into college as easily as Elizabeth Warren. Number 2, they also say we stole the land from indigenous people, which implies somebody who natively was also born here in this country. So, hey, I'll let you know something. If you were born on this land, it also belongs to you too. So post this conquering, who does it belong to? I don't know. It's like a wife in the afterlife. If you get married here on earth and then she dies and then you get married again, who's your wife in heaven? That's why it says there no one's given a marriage. So it's like, whose land is it now? The indigenous people are still here. So you are a native and indigenous if you were born here. But also remember this, they say it belongs to people of color. If you have melanin in your skin, and that doesn't include you albinos, you guys can suck it. But for the rest of us normal folk that aren't being hunted by witch doctors in Africa and having our bodies butchered and sold for parts in voodoo rituals, which it really does happen in Africa, by the way. You should check out the hunting. I'm not laughing at it. It's very sad. And it shows you some of the barbaric culture in some of those countries that are celebrated as being so progressive, even though they're not. If you have melanin, you are a person of color because you have a concentration of it, which means that we're all Native American indigenous people of color. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. And now I want to say this, to everybody in this video, I've been wanting to say this for a long time. Please join with me as we read this next sign. Shh. I also want to talk about this weird justification of anti-white violence that is coming out where people think it's okay to beat the living snot out of white people if they said something that offended you. But I want to let you know that, universally speaking, before we go any further, I just want to give a huge shout out to an incredible company called Freedom Debt Solutions, who's a supporter of the show. But also, you guys, I'm not afraid to admit, I got into over $10,000 of credit card debt when I was younger. I was stupid. And it was really hard. I had to compound. I had to get my payments together. And now that I'm free of credit card debt, it's changed my entire thought process, my thinking. My marriage has gotten better because there's less stress in my life. I have more freedom for my future. And that's what Freedom Debt Solutions does. They help you if you have over $10,000 of credit card debt. They help you to compound your payments into one single payment so that you can live debt-free. And please, if you need that, I care about you as my audience. And if you're in a lot of debt, check them out at freedomdebtsolutions.com/offensive to speak to a representative today. Please, I beg of you to call freedomdebtsolutions.com/offensive. Get out of debt. Talking about bondage, more than racism, debt can be a greater burden. And so please check them out. They are a supporter of the show. Anyway, let's talk about this. So there was this Macy's attack, right? There was this attack that happened a little while ago. And I want to play this video for you and get into some of the difficulties with it. So basically, where is this video? I don't even know. Oh, here it is. Check out this. If you weren't aware of what happened, listen to this quick clip, and then I want to break down where this rise of anti-white violence comes into play, and it's dangerous.
This video, filmed inside the Macy's at the Genesee Valley Center Mall, shows a man hitting an employee, knocking him to the ground, hitting him again, while using the N-word over and over. You can also hear the employee repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry." It was originally posted on rapper FT Quay's Facebook page, which has since been deactivated, but not before this video went viral and fueled a police investigation. Last Monday, Flint Township Police say they were...
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Okay, let's get into this. So basically what happened is there was this video that surfaced of this guy, this rapper, beating up an employee of Macy's, who said that when he asked the Macy's employee, who was a manager, by the way, does this jacket fit? The man said, no, it's too small. And then according to him, he said the N-word on the phone. So then he beat him up. Now, there was a thorough investigation by the district attorney and by the prosecutor's office into this incident by Macy's staff, and it turns out that this man did not say the N-word. He was on the phone with an individual who concurred as well. This person did not. They even interviewed family members, said this guy was not racist. He doesn't use the N-word. That's not part of his character. And so we have a situation where people like Tariq Nasheed and other black activists were going, yeah, you know what, white people? Don't ever say the N-word because you're going to get the shit beat out of you by some guy. Serves you right for using the N-word. Now, here it's slightly offensive. We never condone the use of the N-word, and we don't ask you to use it. Though, of course, with freedom of speech, we do understand that you have the right to use that word, including black people have the right to use the word. Just understand social and cultural connotations. We advise against it if you're any race, just because the word in and of itself is not necessary to use if you want to live a peaceable life. But I can tell you this, if you use it, and you use any nasty word, whether it's the N-word, the B-word, the F-word, you don't deserve to be beaten up for it. And most importantly, just because you are a jerk doesn't mean that you need to be threatened or attacked or assaulted. But one thing that's really interesting that happened here, I need to find this article. I've kind of lost it. I don't know where it is. There it is. So this rapper who filmed it, which by the way, it was proven that it was not that this guy did not say the N-word. One thing that I want to bring up that was really interesting was that this guy, this rapper, kind of says here that he basically had nothing else he could have done but beat this guy for saying the N-word. He said the encounter started when his brother got the shirt, just picked it up. This is a quote, right? You're seeing this on the screen. He didn't have it on physically. He just put it over his body. He asked him, does this shirt look too little? And he politely said yes and continued back on the phone and with the remark, no one, just some N-word. At the moment, it was surprising, he said. I was just like, whatever, let me get this down on video. So this guy says the N-word and you pull out the camera. Very believable. Let me just let people see. Well, also, you don't see the N-word. But anyway, I'm behind my brother fully because with everything else going on, what else can we do at this point? Quay said. All the hate and everything is not needed because nothing works. It was a spur of the moment. That was his instinct. And that was the justification for literally beating the crap out of a guy. It was, well, he said the N-word, so what else could I have done but just beat him up? You could have also said, had a conversation, said, dude, don't say that. You know, man, talk about the need for these attention.com Chinese lesbians. You could have spoken to him. Where are these Chinese lesbians when you need them in Macy's? Gosh, they're probably too busy shopping out there at wherever lesbians buy clothes, which I assume is probably Nordstrom. I don't know. I don't even care. But this is where you get into this idea of like, you know, there's white people out there saying bad words. What else can we do? Beat them up. That's where we're at in our society. That's what people are being taught, is that racism is violence, meaning if you say a mean word, you can get beaten up. But also, now that we found out this guy didn't say the N-word, Donald Trump retweeted it and everyone got mad at him. But that's the point, is that Donald Trump retweeted a white man getting assaulted by a black man unprovoked. The prosecution ended up figuring out. And I don't even want to show you, but the best part is these guys who beat him up, the shots they used when searching for them were prison shots. These guys had already been in prison. And everyone got mad at Trump going, how dare you retweet this? That's racist of you. What do you mean it's racist? It's now racist to retweet a video of a white person getting accused of racism unprovoked and getting beat up. But if a black person is even in a fake hoax hate crime, which are continually more prevalent these days, you get promoted. And most importantly, you get the SPLC and ADL and every side of company on top on your case and also backing you up, including Susan Wojcicki from, check this out. This is the CEO of YouTube who has let us know, as conservatives, as right-wingers, most importantly, as free-thinking individuals of all colors, that we are not welcome on their platform and we are going to continue to get censored. Check this out.
Over the past few weeks, we've grieved together as the Black community has endured more senseless acts of racial terror and violence. At YouTube, we believe Black lives matter, and we all need to do more to dismantle systemic racism. We're committed to doing better as a platform to center and amplify Black voices and perspectives. And we're working to ensure Black users, artists, and creators can share their stories and be protected from hateful, white supremacist, and bullying content. We know there is...
Yeah, this is what I want to bring up. This idea of elevating Black lives is actually more focused on this idea that it's white people that are keeping Black people down. And that's the accepted narrative. And therefore, in order to get Black people elevated, we need to pull white people off their pedestal, assuming they're on one. And it's really interesting that tech companies and corporations and all these people are backing up this movement, which in and of itself sounds good in theory. But if you read the website of Black Lives Matter, is a radical Marxist website that has anti-white, anti-Western ideas. And what's most importantly weird is that you can say things like, we are going to purposely elevate Black lives, Black voices. You know, Uber Eats says we're going to elevate Black-owned businesses, waive the fees. There's Black newspapers and Latino magazines. But if you do anything like that in regards to Caucasian people and white people, you'll be called a white supremacist. And that's what they believe, is that white people in and of themselves are racist. It's a system and a structure. Therefore, there's no way for you to actually be racist towards individuals that are white. You can even beat the living shit out of one and lie and say they said the N-word when they didn't, and you'll get defended online. Because why? Because even if you commit a crime, if it was against a white people, it's just fine. Remember that one, folks. And that's just true. And you know that this is not really a movement about Black people. I'm telling you, this movement of Black Lives Matter is an anti-white movement. Because even look at their idea of defunding the police. I want to bring you to a video that took place in, let me see if I can find it here, that took place in Atlanta, where people at this protest of Rayshard Brooks did not kick the police out. Watch this as they just attacked the white cop, which definitely shows you there is some inconsistency in this idea to defund the police. Maybe it's more of to destroy an institution that they believe upholds Western culture, law, order, and civilization, which in of itself is not exclusively white, but they're the ones who think it's so. I apologize for the language.
Come on. Don't be on him. Come on. What? Hey, off the block. Go.
He want to know what he looks like. He looks like you.
It ain't him. Let him through. Let's go. Come on.
What you'll notice is that they kicked out the white officer. The black officers actually had to get the white officer out. And there's an interesting argument to be made here that kind of shocks me a little bit with this entire destruction of Western civilization. Is that as people attack capitalism, Christianity, singing just got banned in California in churches. They actually did. Governor Newsom actually said, you can't sing because it violates social distancing because the amount of air you push out. I'm not joking. You should look it up. Even the Sacramento Bee and local newspapers are reporting that his new mandates ban singing in churches. There's an attack on all things that are Western. And most importantly, it's also weird that there is this invasion of groupthink that says that if you at all are white or defend white identity, just like Stefan Molyneux maybe had some things he talked about, you will be labeled a white supremacist. And YouTube is clear on that as well, which is why it's important to always, I say, make sure that you protect your data, make sure you protect what you're searching, no matter what. Even if you're black, remember, you'll still be called a white supremacist. If you're Jewish, you can still be called a Nazi. It's an insane world where there's accusations. And most importantly, people sell your data to companies that can use it against you. You never know what's truthful anymore. That's why you need to have a VPN. And ExpressVPN, by the way, is the best VPN in the world. They use a system called Trusted Server, which encrypts all of your data. It also allows you to access information and things that are hidden in your country. And we find that out today when I was trying to research this episode. There were things I couldn't find on Google here in America, but you can find in other countries if you have a VPN. So make sure that you get past the biased algorithms as well as protecting yourself. Go to expressvpn.com/offensive to find out how you can get 3 months free of a year subscription. Again, go to expressvpn.com/offensive to get 3 months free of a year subscription. Please, guys, as your host, I need you guys to stay protected online. As always, check them out. But I want to let you guys know this, and I kind of want to get to kind of start wrapping this up. When I say there's a rise in anti-white racism and bias, when I talk about these videos, I could really just sit here for 25 minutes and give you a detailed point in view by view understanding of really where this is rising, but I don't need to preach it to you. This video isn't about white people. It's not for white people. And if anyone tries to frame it that way, well, I can't stop them. Like I said, they'll accuse you of anything they can. But most importantly, I do want to remind all of you that there is a war out there to divide us. And when you say, well, I don't care if they attack white people or I don't believe you, I want to remind you this. It's not about the white skin. What they are attacking is the pillars of what has created Caucasian countries. And yes, there are white countries. Where do white people come from? They don't grow on trees. They come from inherently white countries, which the media denies exist, but they do. Just like China exists as a Chinese country and Japan exists as a Japanese country, the France exists as a French country. But of course, multiculturalism was never about diversity and strength. It was about destroying the identity of superpowers in the world. It's always been about destroying what? Things that benefit the world individually, which is freedoms, like the right to bear arms, the right to free speech, capitalism and free market, and the right to own your own property. Ultimately, this fight in anti-white racism is really anti-Western discrimination, anti-Western destruction, and ultimately that negatively affects anyone who values those ideas. And so together we need to continue to fight. And that's why, guys, continue please to support this show. If you don't support the sponsors, then always support us by going to blazetv.com/slightly offensive. It's more important than ever because of videos like this. I could get deleted off YouTube. It's definitely a possibility. It really is. And I'm not going to stop speaking the truth just because people want me to shut up. But guys, I need you to support this show so we can continue bringing this out. And as I mentioned, for those of you that make it this far, always also leave us a review. And remember, I'm getting my real studio at BlazeTV fairly soon. It's under construction. Things have slowed down because of COVID. But also, I want to let you know that BlazeTV has been so supportive of our message, and this show's going to keep getting better as I get a new producer and stop producing these crappy episodes on my own. Anyway, thank you guys so much again. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to keep independent media and journalism alive. My name is Elijah Schaefer, the host of Slightly Offensive. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.